let's go. Hey, are you ready? It's time for the Pwamps Show. Hey, are you ready? It's time for the Pwamps Show. Hey, Pwamps. Hey, Pwamps.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Pwamps.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Pwamps Show, and once again, it is time to talk sports. What a crazy weekend we had in the sports world. We're going to start off with a quick recap. Let's talk about what happened at Bethpage Black for the Ryder Cup. Friday and Sunday, things were looking grim for the United States. The Europeans were playing out of their minds. Justin Rose, Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood. How about even the play of Shane Lowry, Tyrrell Hatton, Jon Rahm? These guys were unbelievable. Then it got to Ryder Cup Singles Sunday, and the United States, all they needed was a miracle. They were on a path trying to capture that miracle. They came up just short. 15-13, the Europeans did win the Ryder Cup. They retained the cup, but they made it exciting, and it was a great finish to the Ryder Cup. The next one, played in 2027, will be the 100th year of the Ryder Cup. 100-year anniversary. Isn't that crazy? That will be really fun. That is going to be played in Ireland. That will be a great little tournament 2 years from now. September 13th to 19th are the dates of the Ryder Cup in 2027. That'll be really, really fun. Now, let's turn to the world of baseball. A lot of teams were punching their tickets to the postseason this weekend. We'll get to that in a little bit with a quick little standing update and preview the MLB postseason bracket. The NFL, they had a great slate of games on Sunday, including a nice little blockbuster evening for Sunday Night Football between the Cowboys and the Packers at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, and then college football. We take a look real quickly. The featured four from last week, they are on your left, and then on your right are my other four. Now, the other four, what that means, what that entails for all of you, these are the other four games that I think you should check out, might be worth giving a watch. I try to lead you guys all to games that I think really are going to be exciting and could be really competitive and tough. We did a pretty good job of that, I believe, this past week. It was an exciting week of sports, and now we're going to dive in. Let's talk about the NFL. The National Football League. Week 4, we're looking at our heat map. Here's how it works. Just another refresh again. On your left, these are the teams that all won this week. The top row is the teams that really stood out with a win. On your right, these are the teams that did suffer a loss this week. On the top row, though, it's the teams that stood tall even in defeat. Above me, that is our Monday Night Football matchup this week. Now, again, I said this at the beginning of the entire show in episode 1. You don't see many Monday night doubleheaders. We've got another one this week. It's got the Jets at the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins in their new rivalry uniform, debuting those tonight against the Jets at home. But then we have another game, 8:15. It's the Cincinnati Bengals, the struggling Cincinnati Bengals, traveling to Mile High to take on the Denver Broncos. With that being said, let's dive in to our heat map. Top row, teams that really stood tall. You've got the New York Giants. It was the debut of Jackson Dart. The Giants fans have been chanting for a long time. They wanted to bench Russell Wilson. They wanted to move on to the future of the Giants. Jackson Dart got the start, and guess what? They knock off the undefeated LA Chargers. Offense looked good. Jackson Dart ran for a nice little touchdown as well. And guess what? The Giants' defense played very, very well. Stymied the LA Chargers offense. Giants really playing like a solid team, and the Chargers could get nothing going. That's why I've got the Giants on my top row. Another team that really deserves to be on this top row this week. It was a battle of 2-1 teams in the NFC West. The Seattle Seahawks went on the road to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. The Cardinals, they were in their rivalry uniform. Their new rivalry uniform, they debuted it again this week. Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, they went into Arizona. They moved to 3-1, solidify their position with the LA Rams at 3-1 atop the NFC West and the 49ers. You got a three-way tie right now in the NFC West. 3 teams at 3-1. The Arizona Cardinals at 2-2. Next team, Kansas City Chiefs. They get off the schneid. This was a major game for the Chiefs and the Ravens. Both teams trying to avoid falling to 1-3. This was a game the Kansas City Chiefs dominated majority of the time, and the Ravens. We've got a little drama in Baltimore. Lamar Jackson, third quarter, suffered an Achilles injury. We don't know what the timeline is going to be on his return. He did not return to the game. We're looking to see how long that recovery is going to take. No update from the Ravens coaching staff or medical teams on how long Lamar Jackson could be out. We're going to keep an eye on that, though, very closely. Fourth team, Jacksonville Jaguars, travel across the country. They go into Levi Stadium in San Francisco, and they knock off the undefeated San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy was back in action, showed a little bit of rust, but the Jags really just played a good game. Trevor Lawrence looked good. And I tell you, Tyson Etienne, the guys looked really, really strong. Jags got a key win. That is our top row. Other teams that won. Philadelphia Eagles, they're 4-0. Looking really good. They went into Tampa Bay. It was a battle of undefeated teams, and the Eagles came out on top. Atlanta Falcons, they rebounded after last week's nightmare where Michael Penix was benched. Kirk Cousins came in. We didn't know who was going to start. Michael Penix was back. He looked really good. Big win over the Commanders. The Detroit Lions, they were at home against the Cleveland Browns, and they looked really strong. Dan Campbell had these guys playing really well. Lions, really, really great play from the Detroit Lions, especially Jared Goff. Buffalo Bills, this was a tighter game than a lot of people would like to say with the New Orleans Saints. That's why they're in my top row. We'll get to that in a second. I said last week, Saints make this game watchable. The Saints did just that. Another win, Houston Texans. They are now 1-3. It was a battle against the Tennessee Titans. Titans are now 0-4. Big win for the Texans. Steelers, they get a win in Dublin, Ireland against the Carson Wentz-led Minnesota Vikings. The New England Patriots, big win for the Patriots over the Carolina Panthers. How about the LA Rams? Yeah, the Rams looked mighty good. They knocked off the Indianapolis Colts at SoFi Stadium. The Colts, another undefeated team to go down this week. Then, who else do we have? Chicago Bears, they had a comeback victory in Las Vegas at the Death Star. Caleb Williams in the offense. Ben Johnson's got to be really happy with what he saw. They have a come-from-behind victory and knock off the Vegas Raiders. Now, you're probably wondering, whoa, we got 2 blank spots and then the Green Bay Packers. What's going on here, Pwamps? Well, you've also got the same situation on your right side. You've got the Cowboys in 2 blank spots. What's happening? Folks, we had our first tie of the season last night, 40-40 between the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. This was another great game, a shootout. Defenses really struggled. Micah Parsons for the Packers, he wasn't happy with their performance at all. The Cowboys, Dak Prescott, they weren't happy. They couldn't get stops. Teams don't like to tie. Is it better than a loss? Yes, but teams want to win a ball game. I've got the Packers on the winning side, though. Cowboys on the losing side of this tie. Cowboys really could have used a win at home. They didn't get it. So now we turn to your right side, top row. Indianapolis Colts with a loss, though. They went into SoFi Stadium. Indiana Jones still looked really good. They played a tough Rams team on the road. Colts showed some still real fight and some real promise. Colts looked really good. New Orleans Saints went into Buffalo. Spencer Rattler had a really good game. Alvin Kamara. Saints are playing a lot better, and they surprised a lot of people by being able to go into Buffalo and hang tough against an undefeated Josh Allen-led Bills team. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they really wanted to win this game. This was a battle between the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. Buccaneers come up just a little bit short, but still a lot of things to be proud of. How about the Minnesota Vikings? This was a game they were really struggling. The Pittsburgh Steelers dominated the entire time that this game was going on. Cut it close, though. The Vikings. Carson Wentz really looked good, made some key plays down the stretch, struggled in the final drive to try to tie this game and force overtime. Steelers came out on top with a win, 24-21 in Dublin, Ireland. Other teams that were in the losers column this week, you got the Raiders. This one's really going to hurt for Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. They were up in this game on the Bears. It was at the Death Star. It was at home in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. This one's really going to sting. A come-from-behind win for the Bears. Raiders lose 25-24. Panthers, they got blown out. They had a lot of promise last week. Really struggled this week against the New England Patriots. Not a great week for the Panthers. They're going to look to bounce back next week. The Ravens, there's uncertainty. You don't know how long Lamar Jackson's out, and these guys did not look great at Geha Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Chargers, man, they wanted to win. They looked lost. Offense could get nothing going against this Giants defense, who is not known to be a great defensive front. Chargers really struggled. Bad loss going in to MetLife Stadium and losing to the Giants, but it happens. Chargers are now 3-1. Commanders, Marcus Mariota has looked pretty dang good as the backup quarterback for the Commanders. Jaden Daniels most likely will be making a start in Week 5, but they come up just short in their game. They were looking to get a win. The Niners, they did not see this coming. Brock Purdy was back. That was a positive, but the Jacksonville Jaguars came into Levi Stadium, looked really good, and they kind of knocked the blocks off the San Francisco 49ers. Big win for the Jags, but that's why I've got the Niners on the loser side. Browns could not get anything going against the Detroit Lions. Lions look great. Browns really struggled, and now the Browns stay on the loser side. Arizona Cardinals, they're now 2-2. They were in their rivalry uniforms. It's kind of interesting. The teams that have been in the rivalry uniforms, they've kind of struggled so far this season. Cardinals are going to look to bounce back next week in a tight game, though. They went down in tight fashion to the Seahawks at home. NFC West proving to be one of the most just competitive divisions in the NFL. Now, lastly, we've got the 0-4 Titans. I said it last week, the loser of that Titans-Texans matchup. I know it's only 4 weeks into the season, but your season's over. 0-4 is just, you can't. In a league that is as competitive as the NFL is, you cannot be 0-4 to start the year. Tennessee Titans, you better start going to some concerts, seeing some country music, because your season's over. Your football season is over. I'm sorry to say it. Titans, you're done. You're 0-4. Maybe next week you can bounce back. Cam Ward had a pretty interesting statement following this game. If you want to look it up, see what it was. I'm not going to say it on the show, but you can look it up. It was pretty interesting. That is our tier board for the NFL helmets for Week 4, but now we are ready. Let's look at Week 5 of the NFL season. Hey everybody, Week 5 of the NFL season is upon us. Let's dive in. I want to start out by saying this segment, since Week 5 officially begins in October, that starts the NFL's month-long celebration of Crucial Catch. The coaches, the staff, and the players all wear merchandise showcasing their support in the fight against cancer. I know we've all had people that have been affected and loved ones that have been affected by cancer, so I happily support Crucial Catch. As you can see, I mean, look at this. Look at this little cool little stripe that's on the helmet. We've got Crucial Catch right here, and guess what? We're putting it on the board, and it's going to stay on our board all month long for the month of October. Hey, don't you dare start falling on me. Get back up there. There we go. Anyway, all right, folks, let's dive in. Week 5 of the season, and guess what? We've got a couple of teams on the bye. Now, what does that mean? A bye week in the NFL means a team is not playing this week. This is their week that they get to be off, get to be at home, get a little rest and recuperation before they're back on the schedule and ready to play some games. So, with that being said, let's take a look at who we do have playing this week. It all starts Thursday Night Football, big matchup of NFC West division rivals. Both teams are 3-1. Brock Purdy is back for the Niners. They are traveling to SoFi Stadium to take on the LA Rams and Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua. Tyler Higbee is playing better for the Rams as well. This is a huge game that's going to have some major playoff implications down the road, and it takes place Thursday night, Niners-Rams. Now, Sunday morning, we get to the Minnesota Vikings. For the second week in a row, they are at a game that is being played overseas. They were in Dublin this past weekend. Now they're going to be in London, 9:30 Sunday morning. It's the Minnesota Vikings playing the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are technically the home team in London. Big game here. Browns trying to respond after getting beaten pretty soundly by the Detroit Lions. Vikings trying to get back in the win column after coming up just short in their comeback bid against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's 9:30 on Sunday. Now we get to our 1 o'clock slate. 1 p.m. on Sunday, Scott Hansen's favorite hours of the day on NFL Red Zone. Let's get to it. Houston Texans, they got a win. They're 1-3. They are not 0-4. That's the Tennessee Titans. The Baltimore Ravens. Who would have thought the Titans are 0-4? The Ravens are only a game better, 1-3. There's a lot of question marks for this game. Texans have a win under their belt. They've got a little bit of momentum. I know it was only a win against the Titans at home, but a win is a win in the NFL. The Ravens have question marks. Is Lamar Jackson going to be healthy for this game? Achilles injury against the Chiefs, we don't know the status of him for Week 5. This is a major game. The Baltimore Ravens, if they fall to 1-4, that's going to be the shock of the NFL league. Texans would love nothing more than to send them to 1-4. Texans could get to 2-3. This is a big game kicking off the 1 o'clock slate on Sunday. Then we've got the New York Giants. They're in their throwback uniforms for Week 5. Jackson Dart, he had a huge win in his debut week. The New Orleans Saints, they played the Buffalo Bills in a tight contest. This will be a fun one to watch. Also, do have to point out, major news injury for the Giants. Malik Neighbors, star wide receiver. A lot of people are fearing it's a torn ACL. He got carted off the field during that game where the Giants happily defeated the LA Chargers. But a lot of things, a lot of concerns from Malik Neighbors. I hope he's okay. And if he's out for the season, that's a big loss for the NFL, but it's also a big loss for the Giants. That's really going to hurt them as he's a star receiver that people love to see on the field. Saints-Giants, though, that's Sunday at 1 o'clock in New Orleans. Now, we get to the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Jets. Jets are trying to avoid falling to 0-4. They play the Dolphins tonight. Next week, though, they host the Cowboys. They could be 1-3. They could be 0-4. Cowboys just had that tie with the Packers. This is a big game for both teams to kind of pick up a little momentum. That's Sunday at 1 o'clock. Then we've got the Raiders and the Colts. Raiders suffered a bad comeback loss. Chicago Bears, Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift really made a good comeback bid, took down the Raiders 25-24. Colts came up just short against the LA Rams at SoFi Stadium, but the Colts are one of the talks of the NFL with how well they have been playing. Jonathan Taylor's playing great. Michael Pittman has been playing great. And you can't say enough about how well Indiana Jones is playing for this Colts offense and this team. He's really surprised everyone around the National Football League. That is at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Then we get to our next game, Dolphins at Panthers. Dolphins, they're trying to avoid being 0-4 going into this game as they host the Jets tonight. Panthers are just trying to get back in the win column. This is a big win, big game for both teams. Somebody needs a win badly. They're both seeking a big-time win. Then we get to our 4 o'clock session. This is a major game. 2 3-1 teams going at it. Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. They lost just yesterday against the defending champs Philadelphia Eagles, but they look good. Couple late mistakes from Baker. This could have been a win for the Buccaneers, and it would have been a big one. How about the Seattle Seahawks? How well is Sam Darnold? How well has he been playing to start this season? It's been pretty fun to watch. They're 3-1. This is a battle of 3-1 teams. Like I said, major game, 4 o'clock on Sunday. Now we go to your right side of the board here. The Tennessee Titans, they are 0-4. We talked about that a lot. Cam Ward, he's looking to get into the win column. It's going to take traveling to Phoenix, traveling to take on the Arizona Cardinals, and taking down Kyler Murray. A lot of people have been saying, what's going on with Marvin Harrison Jr.? I have him on my fantasy football team. A little concerns here. The guy's struggling to get a lot of catches, some touchdowns, but I think he's going to get that all corrected here as the weeks progress. Don't worry about Marvin Harrison Jr. He's going to be just fine. Then you've got the Commanders and the Chargers. Another 4 o'clock game. Jaden Daniels is going to be playing in this game. Justin Herbert and the Chargers, they're looking for redemption after a not-so-great loss at MetLife Stadium against the New York Giants. This is a huge game. Commanders sit at 2-2, Chargers sitting at 3-1. Great 4 o'clock game. Now we get to a game that has a couple of question marks. The Detroit Lions, they have looked red hot. Ever since the early start of this season where a lot of fans were thinking, the Lions. Whoa, what's going on here? Dan Campbell's got these guys in gear. They're playing great, and they are playing with a fire right now. And they're going to take on a team in the Cincinnati Bengals that is still reeling. It's been a week since the Joe Burrow injury. We saw Jake Browning make his first start for the Bengals in that horribly lopsided game at the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis. This is a game with question marks. Bengals need to answer some of those questions. Lions have expectations. This is a fun game to watch. 4:25 on Sunday. If Joe Burrow was playing in this game, potential to be one of the Game of the Year candidates for the NFL season. It's Jake Browning, it's Jared Goff. That's 4:25 on Sunday. So, let's talk about this now. We've got a couple of teams on the bye. Like I said earlier, Atlanta Falcons are on the bye. We've got spots now on this board that have literally let us open this up to becoming more of a schedule. So we've debuted our Sunday Night Football helmet. It is on the board, and here's who we've got for Sunday Night Football. Drake May and the New England Patriots, they are traveling to Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills, who are looking like perhaps the most dominant team in the NFL through 4 weeks of the season. Josh Allen is looking untouchable. For me, he's currently leading the MVP race. He has looked fantastic. Bills are looking dominant. Patriots, they got to win this past weekend in dominant fashion over the Carolina Panthers. They're going to try to continue that momentum by going into Buffalo. Hey, the New Orleans Saints, I said this last week, I said, Saints, make the game in Buffalo watchable. The Saints did. They actually surprised a lot of people. That game was a tight finish between the Bills and the Saints. Same thing goes for the Patriots. This is a division rivalry matchup. Interdivision game in the AFC East. Can the Patriots go in on Sunday Night Football and make this game watchable? We're going to find out. That is Sunday night on NBC. As Carrie Underwood says, we've been waiting all day for Sunday night. But she does it in her country. They're waiting all day for Sunday night. Okay, no, not doing that. Then we get to Monday Night Football, our last game of the week. Not a doubleheader week, so we've got it here on the schedule. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, who got a massive win over the Lamar Jackson-less Baltimore Ravens for half this game. Chiefs look dominant. They're looking to pick up a huge win against the 3-1 Jacksonville Jaguars. Can you believe that? Right now in the AFC, I mean, think about it. The Jags are 3-1. Not a lot of people saw this coming. They're sitting at 3-1 right now. How cool is that? Major game on Monday Night Football. Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes going head-to-head. We get to see more of Travis Hunter, the Heisman winner this past year in college football. It's an exciting one. Folks, that is how Week 5 of the NFL season looks. It's Crucial Catch. Any of the merchandise you buy right now on the NFL's website or on New Era, all proceeds go to helping in the fight against cancer. So if you're wanting to get some new merchandise for your team, maybe think about getting some Crucial Catch. It goes to a great cause. That's Week 5. Let's have a great week of the NFL season. But now, let's get to our featured 4 of the college football week. All right, everybody, we are back. It is another week of the college football season. And on your left, once again, we have the featured 4 for this week. And on your right, we've got our nice boxes of cereal, the other games that you should be watching. Is there a better feeling than getting your big bowl of cereal, sitting down and watching some college football? Because it is time, folks. Let's look at it. The featured 4. We're going to start with that. Over here on your left, we start once again with some Friday Night Lights in Conference USA. Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, they're going to be taking on Delaware. The Blue Hens, both teams are 3-1, looking for a big-time statement win in conference. This is going to be a little bit of a shootout. Defenses have both played really well for the Hilltoppers and for the Blue Hens. Offenses are picking up some steam. 3-1 teams, 3-1 battle on Friday night. We've got some Friday Night Lights. Western Kentucky, Delaware. That's Friday night. Now, we get to Saturday. Who do we have here? We got things starting with Boise State. Maddox Madsen Tough first game of the year. We know that. We've talked about that. He's rebounded. He's leading this Boise State offense. This is the toughest test they're going to have all year. They travel in to Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman has the Fighting Irish playing better. They picked up 2 really nice wins the past couple of weeks. They're back on track. They're 2-2. They're slightly moving up that AP poll, which we're going to talk about that in a minute, who the top 5 are. But Notre Dame's playing better. Big matchup for Boise State. Major matchup for Notre Dame, just to keep the wheels on the track. That is on Saturday. And now we move to our next one. Iowa State taking on Cincinnati, the Bearcats. This is a Big 12 battle. Iowa State, what can I say about them? Rocco back, these guys are looking really good. And here's the thing. So are the Cincinnati Bearcats. The football team of the Cincinnati Bearcats, they've had a couple years that have been lackluster here in the past. Recently, they're playing better. They sit at 3-1. You've got Iowa State coming in. This is a tall task for the Bearcats. It would be a statement win for the Bearcats. I can guarantee you there would be some people maybe storming the field if Cincinnati can get the win. Maybe, just maybe. I don't know. But the Bearcats hosting Iowa State. That's a massive game on Saturday. Be sure to check out that one. Then we get to our late night clash. Top 20 matchup once again. Who do we have? It's the Hurricanes of Miami University taking on the Seminoles of Florida State. Now, Florida State just lost a heartbreaker to the Virginia Cavaliers. Went down to the wire, 45-38. What a game it was. That was last Friday. Now they're back in action. They're back at home taking on these Hurricanes. And I tell you what, it's going to be a very, very good game. Carson Beck, he's ready to get these Hurricanes another big win. Miami, they might be feeling a little heated right now because you look at the last AP poll that dropped. Yes, Miami did not play. They had a bye week. Oregon played. Oregon got a win over Penn State at Happy Valley during a whiteout. The committee puts Oregon at number 2. Miami was number 2 last week. They now fall to number 3. So the Hurricanes, they might be feeling a little fired up, ready to kick some tail as they go into Tallahassee to take on the Florida State Seminoles. That game is Saturday night, and it's one you do not want to miss. Now, we take a look at your right side of the board. These are my other 4 games. These are the games, folks, that if you're just looking to get your taste buds flowing a little bit, and you love college football, these are some good games that you should check out, and I think you definitely should. It's like Jingle All the Way when you're going to buy Turbo Man. You can't just quite get it. I'm leading to the games where you can get your hands on Turbo Man right away. Let's do it. Here we go. Vanderbilt and Alabama. Vanderbilt, boy, did they survive a scare. A lot of people thought they were no longer going to be undefeated. They came back, clawed their way back, got a win. They played well, and they are sitting still, undefeated. The Vanderbilt Commodores. They're traveling to Tuscaloosa, though. One of the toughest places to play in college football. And I can tell you what, Kalen DeBoer had his statement win for the Crimson Tide over the Georgia Bulldogs in Athens just this past weekend. This is going to be the most fired up this Alabama crowd has been since the Nick Saban era. This is a huge game on Saturday between Vanderbilt and Alabama. It's one you do not want to miss. Be watching that on Saturday. Now, what else do you have for us, Pwamps? We've got a little MAC action. A little Mid-American Conference action in what I think is probably going to be the best game of the MAC week. We've got 2 teams right here, Miami and Northern Illinois. They've played very tough non-conference schedules, but this is where you can make up ground. You enter conference play, you can solidify which spot you belong in your conference standings. If you're the best in your conference, maybe if you're the worst in your conference, you hope that's not the case, but it could happen. These are 2 teams I don't think that's going to happen to, though. You've got the Miami Redhawks traveling to take on Northern Illinois. This is a good game. 1-3, conference plays here. This is your chance to make your mark, get your conference season started on the right foot. That's going down Saturday as well. Tad Hudson, Coastal Carolina. This is no longer the Grayson McCall era for the Chanticleers. They're traveling into Old Dominion University, and guess what? The Monarchs of Old Dominion. They currently sit at 4-1. Whoa! Old Dominion, they're looking to get this thing to 5-1. This would put a lot of people on alert, and I say alert as in what in the world? Old Dominion could be 5-1. This is something that hasn't happened for them in a really long time. They're looking to make it happen, but Coastal Carolina, they're always a Sun Belt contender. Big time game in the Sun Belt. Coastal Carolina, they're 1-0 in conference. Old Dominion debuting in the Sun Belt. Their conference season starts this game at home against the Chanticleers. That is Saturday. And then we get into a big time clash here. UNLV and Wyoming. First of all, again, giddy up, says Wyoming. We've got the running Rebels of UNLV traveling to Wyoming. UNLV is 4-0. Has it been a pretty 4-0? At the start of the season, you would say no. They've cleaned some things up. They're looking a lot better. And UNLV is a team, let's say they go on a little run here in the Mountain West. They're 4-0. Let's say they finish this season undefeated. You could very well see them maybe in the college football playoff. If they can get an undefeated season, you need to be undefeated coming out of the Mountain West. But you never know. It could happen. Wyoming is looking to put a stop to that immediately. Wyoming sits at 2-2. They want a statement win in Mountain West play. This would be the biggest statement you can get, as UNLV is one of the heavyweights of the Mountain West. Everybody, that's our featured four. That's who you got to look out for Saturday right here. On your left, these are the featured four. Western Kentucky, Delaware, Boise State, Notre Dame, Iowa State, Cincinnati, Miami, Florida State. The other four. Who else you need to tune into? Here they are one more time. Vanderbilt and Alabama. That's an SEC clash. Then you get to Miami, Northern Illinois. That's a Mid-American Athletic Conference clash, baby. The MAC. Then you've got Coastal Carolina and Old Dominion. That's some Sun Belt action for you. We're just trying to get you a little flavor of all these conferences, and that's what we're doing. And then you get the Mountain West, UNLV, Wyoming. Enjoy a college football Saturday. Have some fun. And now we've got to talk about some teams that were partying yesterday as they punched their tickets into the Major League Baseball playoffs. Let's dive in. Post-season time for Major League Baseball. We've got the bracket right behind me on the board. Let's take a look. On your left, we've got the American League. Let's dive into it. Here's what ended up happening, folks. The Cleveland Guardians, they won the AL Central. The Detroit Tigers still make the playoffs. I mean, by the hair of their chinny chins, they are in, but they're the 6th seed. This is the bracket we're talking about, folks. So here it is. This all happens tomorrow, the wild card round of baseball. So here's who plays during the wild card. 6 teams make the postseason in each conference. The 1 and 2 seed, they have a bye. They do not play in the wild card round. They wait to see who the winners are of these series on both sides. So let's take a look at the matchups. 3 seed in the American League, it's the Cleveland Guardians. This race came down to the wire. It was either going to be the Guardians or the Tigers. They're both in the AL Central. Tigers are coming off a monumental collapse to have blown this division. The Guardians snatched it away from them. They are the AL Central champs. They're the 3 seeds. So you got the 3 seed Cleveland Guardians, the 6 seed Detroit Tigers. It's a 3-game series at Jacobs Field in Cleveland. The winner will play the Seattle Mariners in the 2nd round of the American League playoffs. We go down here. People would say the best rivalry in all of baseball. You've got the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. You hear those 2 teams, you think baseball history right off the bat, and that is what we have. Red Sox are the 5 seed, Yankees are the 4 seed. Aaron Judge is clobbering home runs left and right. Red Sox, kind of a younger team. They're in the playoffs. They're ready to make a big statement if they could go into Yankee Stadium and knock them off. 4 and 5 seed, the winner Well, they get the division champion and the #1 seed in the American League, the Toronto Blue Jays. Blue Jays have been playing some great baseball. It shocked everybody. They are the #1 seed in the American League. It's the first time they have won the AL East since 2015. Folks, it's 2025. That's been 10 years. That tells you the dominance that you have seen from the Yankees, the Red Sox, heck, maybe even the Orioles. You've seen teams in the AL East really play some good baseball. But the Blue Jays are #1. So here are the first round matchups taking place tomorrow. 3-game series. Guardians hosting the Tigers for 3 games at Jacobs Field. Yankees hosting the Red Sox, 3-game series at Yankee Stadium. These all start tomorrow, which is Tuesday. Let's take a look at your right. Let's get into the National League. Folks, it happened. The Cincinnati Reds, who have not won a playoff series in 30 years, have got a shot to do it. Okay, hey Reds, you made the playoffs. Congratulations. Who do you have to play? Who do you have to knock out to win a series? You got to take down the defending World Series champion LA Dodgers. That's a mighty tall task, folks. Going to Dodger Stadium and beating the defending World Series champs and all the players they have. You got Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts. That's just to name a few. It is a stacked lineup. Reds sneak in. They're the 6th seed. They lost their last game of the year against the Milwaukee Brewers. They wanted to win that game. They didn't do it, but guess what? They had another scenario. If the Miami Marlins could take down the New York Mets, guess what the Reds would do with that situation, folks? Beep, 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 beep. They would back on into the playoffs, and that is exactly what they did. So, this is Tuesday night. You've got the Cincinnati Reds. They're the 6th seed in the National League playoffs, traveling to take on the LA Dodgers in a 3-game NL Wild Card series. The winner of that series gets rewarded by traveling to take on the Philadelphia Phillies and the Bryce Harper loaded Philadelphia Phillies in Philadelphia. That is a great, fun little series to watch, and an old school NL rivalry matchup between the Reds and the Dodgers. That'll be fun. Going back down memory lane, back into the history books. That'll be a good one. Now, the 4 and 5 seed matchup is a great one. The San Diego Padres, Fernando Tatis, he's been on a heater lately. Xander Bogaerts is playing well. Manny Machado always hitting the ball well. They're traveling to Wrigley Field to take on the Chicago Cubs. You talk about a great little series. Winner of this gets the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers were able to hold off the Philadelphia Phillies, claim the 1 seed in the National League. This is going to be an explosive MLB playoffs. One other thing I want to point out, think of the stadiums. You've got 4 series. I'm going to step off here for a second. You've got 4 series in the MLB playoffs, folks. Look at the stadiums that we're getting to see for the wild card round. Think of the history. So you've got Jacobs Field, where the Guardians have been playing, well, the Guardians, Indians, have been playing for a really long time. That's the first stadium you're at in the first wild card matchup between the Guardians and the Tigers. Second stadium, it's Yankee Stadium. And yeah, this isn't the original Yankee Stadium, it's the newer Yankee Stadium, but still, you hear Jacobs Field, you hear Yankee Stadium, you think, okay, well, those are 2 legendary stadiums. Well, let me flip to the right, your right side of the board here. You've got Dodger Stadium, Chavez Ravine. So you're thinking, holy crap, we've got 3 great ballparks that we're seeing in this first round of the playoffs. Don't forget down here, though, the home of the Chicago Cubs, you've got Wrigley Field. These are 4 great ballparks that are all the host of the first round of the MLB playoffs. They will be playing host to the wild card matchups. And that's what gets us started on the road to the World Series. 4 great 3-game series to get you going in the world of the MLB postseason. Buckle in, folks, because it is going to be a good old-fashioned fun time down at the ballpark. Let's enjoy it. All right. Excuse me. Yeah, just trying to get to my seat side. No, I don't always wear a sport coat to a baseball game. All right. Who are you a fan of? Oh, the Astros? Yeah, they missed the playoffs this year. Sorry about that. So, always next year. Popcorn is so good. Oh, 7th inning stretch? Okay. All right, folks, if you like what you saw today, why don't you leave a little subscribe? You know, just leave a like, leave a comment, I don't know. Do you like popcorn? Because I love it. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next week.